Hello friends, I am Narendra Verma once again with you. As you know very well that we are dealing with the third chapter in business studies for class 12 CBSE syllabus, and the chapter is business environment. And in today's session we are going to cover the topics meaning and definition of demonetization and features of demonetization. This demonetization topic has been added to the business studies syllabus for 2 years, right? Since the demonetization was exercised in India in 2016, thereafter it was added to the syllabus, right? So very first we'll understand the meaning, then definition and the feature. Only this much is there in your syllabus, right? So without wasting much time, let's start. See, demonetization. Actually, the actual word is monetization, and demonetization is the opposite of that, right? So very first we need to know the meaning of monetization. Monetization is the verb which has come from the noun, that is money, right? Okay, so from money the term came out, monetization. You must have studied in economics, or you may be studying in future. Okay, what is the meaning of money? Money means currency, right? And when we use this word monetization in economics, monetization means when any country gives legal status to any metal, okay, or any note, right? For example, you can say that any country has made silver coins as legal tender. Okay, so now onwards the transactions will be done in the exchange of that silver currency. Okay, so just announcing that, just making that statement, okay, like I said, that giving the status of legal tender to any metal or note, okay, is known as monetization. So this process is known as, or this act is known as monetization, right? So once again I explain you, monetization means the act of giving the legal status to any metal or note in a country. Understood? Okay, so by the meaning of monetization we can infer the meaning of demonetization. Okay, so demonetization is just opposite to monetization. Okay, in monetization what we do, we are giving legal status to any metal or note. Okay, thereafter we'll be calling them currency notes, currency coins, right? Okay, and in demonetization we are withdrawing the legal status of those currency notes or coins. Understanding the meaning? Okay, so demonetization is the act of withdrawing the legal status of any currency note or coin. Okay, now let's talk about what is it in actual, why it is exercised, and how the term came into existence. See, there are various remedial measures to repair the economy. Okay, so in a country when the economy has derailed, it has been facing a lot of problem, and there are various measures to do the remedy for that, but demonetization is one of the measures. Okay, it is a remedial measure. Fine. When in any currency corruption increases, black marketing increases, okay, the quantity of black money increases, and parallel economy is also increasing side by side, and counterfeiting of currency is happening more. Okay, so from such kind of problems, okay, if any country is willing to save its economy, then they have to apply certain measures, and demonetization is one of those measures, right? Okay, and now let's talk about when it was implemented in the world first time. So if we go back into the history, then we'll come to know in 1873 US, means United States, passed one act, that was Coinage Act, right? Earlier they were using silver coins as their currency, but in this Coinage Act what they did, they just withdrew the silver coin as currency, and then thereafter they introduced gold standard as their currency. Okay, later on they had to change their decision, but this was the very first time in the world history when demonetization was implemented, right? Let me tell you one more thing. When demonetization takes place, then after some time one more process is supposed to take place, that is known as remonetization. Okay, when a country withdraws certain currency notes or coins, and if they are introducing some other currency in place of those currency, then that process is known as remonetization. All right. Okay, so we know the meaning of monetization, demonetization, and remonetization. Okay, now one more new term has come into existence, that is e-monetization. Okay, that is related to digital world. When we are making the real currency digital one, that is known as e-monetization. Okay, that is there only for reference, I have told you. Okay, now let's move on. So very first it was used in US in 1873, and thereafter it has been implemented in various countries like Russia, Zimbabwe, Ghana, even in Australia. Many countries have used it as the remedial measure to repair their economy. Okay, now let's talk about India. In India also it has been used 3 times, right? First time in India it was used in 1946. Okay, at that time you know very well that there was British government in India. Okay, and that British government withdrew 500 rupee note, 1000 rupee note, and 10,000 rupee note, right? These three highly denominated currency which were there in the run in the country at that point of time were withdrawn by the British government, right? Okay, later on these again came into existence. Okay, and why they did it? They just did it just to remove the black money, because so many people had accumulated the black money, okay, with them. That's why government did that. And in second time it was implemented in 1978. Okay, and at that time also the same notes were withdrawn. Fine. So first time in 1946, 500, 1000 and 10,000 rupee notes were withdrawn, and second time in 1978, 500, 1000 and 10,000 rupee notes were withdrawn. Now let's talk about third time, which became very much popular. Okay, so everybody knows, even then I would like to remind you here that on 8th November 2016 at 8 p.m. Prime Minister Narendra Modi did the conference. He came on the TV screen and then he made the announcement that from the midnight of the same date, the 500 rupee note and 1000 rupee note are demonetized, right? Means these two notes will not be having the legal status in the country except for few essential services or for a very little time. Okay, later on lot of notifications, guidelines government kept on giving. Okay, and a guideline was there as well that as many people are holding 500 and 1000 rupee note, they can go to bank and they can deposit money into bank, and bank will convert these currencies into other currencies. Like they will give you 100 rupee notes. Okay, they will give you 50 rupee notes in exchange of this. Okay, so that system was there, right? So this was the third time in India when demonetization was implemented. But what was different this time? This time the demonetization was done with lot of objectives. What were those objectives? The very first, the objective was to remove black money, right? Okay, and to stop counterfeiting of the currency. Counterfeiting of the currency means just to stop the printing of the fake currency. Okay, so there was the information that there was very big rise in fake currencies having 500 and 1000 rupee note, right? Okay, and just because of that, terrorism was also being promoted. Okay, so that was also another objective. Okay, one more objective was there behind to promote the digital payment methods, right? And another objective was there just to encourage the taxpayers. Okay, number of taxpayers should increase in the country. So these were the objectives. Having these objectives, demonetization was implemented third time in India. Okay, it became very much popular. Okay, so it was all about demonetization. Now let's talk about its definition. We can write the definition here. So this is the definition, very easy definition I have made. The act of making any currency units. Why I am using the word units? Because it can be a coin or note, right? Okay. Government can withdraw the currency notes and even the coins, right? So the act of making any currency unit or units, okay? Like government did, they just withdrew two notes. Okay, they can do the single one as well as the government wants. So the act of making any currency unit or units, no more legal tender, okay, in a country is known as demonetization. Means now you have made those currency units no more legal tender. Now they do not have the legal status in a country. Okay, so that is what the meaning of demonetization. You can write down this definition anywhere you want. Okay, at various places you will be getting the definition in very complex terms, so I have tried my level best to form the definition in easy terms. Okay, but this term has to be necessarily mentioned here, legal tender. Okay, so in demonetization what happens, the currency notes or coins do not have the legal tender status anymore. Okay, so that is what demonetization. Fine. Now let's talk about the features of demonetization. So as it has been added to your syllabus after this 8 November 2016, so the features are related to the same event. Okay, or you can call them whatever was happening at that point of time, just after that the features have been given in your syllabus. So we have to stick to the syllabus because in NCERT also the same features are given, so we need to discuss the same features over here, right? So these are 4 features given in your syllabus, so we need to discuss the same. Very first feature is tax administration measure. We need to understand the meaning of this, then I'll explain you in detail. Okay, tax administration measure, okay, means government wanted to use demonetization as a kind of measure to administer the tax, right? How? I just explained you. What happened when demonetization was announced, when it was implemented, then the guidelines were given to the people that as many people are holding 500 rupees and 1000 rupees notes right now, they can go to bank, okay, and they can get other currency notes in exchange, right? Okay, there was certain limit set and certain time period was also given for that. So what was happening, the people who held 500 rupees and 1000 rupees note as per their accounted income. Accounted income means for that they have declared that income in the eyes of income tax, okay, on which income tax has been calculated and paid as well. Okay, so the people who had already declared their income, they did not have any problem. They could go to bank and they could exchange their money. Okay, but the problem was there with the people who did not declare their money. Okay, it happens, we know very well. Suppose there is a person who is earning more but he pays less tax. And how he pays less tax? Because he does not declare all his income, right? So the amount of income that he does not declare, that remains unaccounted, okay, and that is what the black money in reality. Okay, means black money is what? The unaccounted income which is not there in the eyes of the government, okay, and a person has hidden that, okay, because they cannot show that money anywhere. That's why people like to keep that unaccounted money in their home in cash. Okay, so as many people who did not declare their income, okay, they had 500 and 1000 rupee notes, they had to deposit into the bank. Why? Because if they had not deposited at that point of time, so those notes would have become just papers, okay, they would have lost their values. Okay, as per the government decision. So that was the main impact of the decision, right? So what happened, there was hue and cry, people started running and rushing to the banks, okay, and the people of unaccounted income also had to declare their income. They also deposited money, and in their accounts the income hiked more than they declared. Thereafter they had to declare that that is also our income, okay, and they had to pay tax on that with the penalty. Okay, so demonetization worked here as a measure to administer tax, right? So that is what the feature here. Now let's move on to another feature, intolerance of tax evasion. For understanding this point, very first you need to know the meaning of tax evasion. What is the meaning of tax evasion? In the eyes of income tax, tax evasion is a kind of crime, and for that penalty is also there. Tax evasion means on your income, whatever tax you are supposed to pay, you are not paying that, okay? Or you can call, literally, it is a kind of theft of tax, okay? You are doing that in the eyes of the government, okay? So that tax evasion should not take place, that should not be tolerated, that should not be accepted. Fine. So how it is done? It is done in the same manner, okay? You are earning 10 lakh rupees per year, but you are showing 5 lakh or 6 lakh rupees per year. It means you are evading the tax on the unaccounted income, right? Okay, so government was in the mood of catching all those people who were evading the tax, okay? So because on this part, government showed no tolerance, okay? They were not ready to tolerate it at all, right? Okay, so that is why demonetization was proved as a kind of measure of intolerance of tax evasion, okay? So through demonetization, government tried to control over tax evasion, right? They just tried to give a kind of message that they are not going to tolerate tax evasion at all, okay? Now let's move on to another feature. The another feature is what? Channelizing of savings into formal financial schemes. Now let's understand it in detail. See what happens when demonetization was announced. Then many people who had stored money in cash at their home, they rushed to bank and deposited money. Okay, and many of them could not get as much money they deposited. They could not get the same amount of money back. Why? Because government put a limit, okay, initially of 4,000, and then they just reduce or increase the limit later on. Okay, say for example that I am just going to deposit 25,000 in the bank is going to give me only 4,000 rupees per day, not more than that. Okay, so in that way, what was happening? Bank was having lot of cash available with them. Now what could the bank do with that cash, with that amount of cash? Cash means, see, the cash was there in digital form with the bank now, okay, because they have just received 1,500 rupee note from you, and they have given you money back, okay, but you deposited 25,000, they gave you 4,000, your 21,000 in digital mode is there with the bank. Now what the bank will do with this money, right? What the bank did at that time, they just reduced the rate of interest on loan, okay, and they ran various financial schemes, okay, so that the people must be ready to invest in those, okay. As I gave the example of 25,000 depositing, okay, say for example I went to bank, I just gave them 25,000 rupees containing the notes of 500 and 1,000 rupees, okay, and bank gave me 4,000 rupees and I invested 21,000 in their scheme. Maybe possible that I get a loan, okay, or maybe possible that I invested in certain schemes, okay. They just showed me that you can do FD, you can run RD, okay, and you can buy a child plan, you can do insurance, various kind of financial schemes they showed me, okay, and they had reduced the interest on loan and they had increased the rate of interest on savings, right, to attract the consumer, right. So it was happening. So now you can understand the savings of the people which was kept at home being unutilized. Okay, that came into the market through these formal financial schemes, right? So that savings had been channelized through that method. See, let me tell you what happens. The economy of any country remains strong when the whole currency printed by the government is there in the market. When the people try to store it like any other commodity, okay, in their home, then the money does not remain in the market and then inflation rises. Okay, and then that is called the hoarding of money. Okay, when the people start hoarding the money, then the problem happens, right? So it gives rise to inflation. So that is also another reason, right? So what happened at that point of time? Financial schemes were going on and people were ready to invest in financial schemes. So their money earlier, which was kept there at home in safe box, in safe, in locker, now it is there in the market. It has been channelized, right? In that way also demonetization was considered important. That is why channelizing of savings into formal financial scheme is considered one of the features of demonetization, right? Now let's move on to another feature, that is creating less cash economy. Less cash economy means now in economy cash will be used less, right? It is not like that in economy the notes will not be printed, notes will not be going on, the same will be going on, but the cash will be used less. So how the payments will be made? Payments will be made through digital mode, right? Like if I want to buy something and if I buy that thing on online, then what happens? I just transfer money digitally from my account to the seller's account. Okay, so this is one example of cashless economy. If all the payments in the country start happening in that manner, then we can say that our economy is fully cashless, right? But that is impossible kind of situations, because for minor payments we do not use the online system, we do not use the digital method. However, the government keeps on promoting, and at that time when the demonetization was exercised, okay, there was the huge increase in the digital payment modes. Okay, people were using a lot of digital payment methods. Okay, but in actual it does not happen in actual, because there are various poor people, they do not have information about digital payment mode, and they do not have the resources, they do not know how to operate internet or smartphone. So there is a problem with them. That is why the term has been put here, less cash economy. Okay, cash should be used but in less amount. For bigger payment, for bigger amount, or for most of the transaction, digital payment mode should be used. Okay, for most of the transaction, digital payment mode should be used, right? So that was the aim of the government. So that is why it is being counted as one of the features of the demonetizations. Okay, so these all are the features of demonetization, right? Now let's talk about the impact of demonetization. However, it is not the part of syllabus, but even then we are discussing it. Why? Because maybe possible it comes in the examination, because it is given in the book. Okay, so let's have a look on impact of demonetization. So this is the impact of demonetization. What happened? The impact can be understood in 6 points. The very first point is money oblique interest rates. Okay, so what impact was there on money or interest rate on the currency we see? So decline in cash transaction. Obviously it was bound to happen, because the high dominated notes were not available there for a certain period. Okay, only the highest denominated note was of 100 rupee at that point of time, right? So cash transactions were declined. If anybody was to make big payment, they were using the digital methods, right? Okay, and bank deposit increased. Yes, obviously so many people were there in the queue to deposit a lot of money which was there kept at their home, because they knew that now all these notes have become illegal. Okay, these are papers after a certain date, so that is why they were depositing all, because they did not have any other option. An increase in financial schemes. Okay, financial savings. So many people were doing the savings as well, right? So these three impacts were related to money and interest rates. And now private wealth. Yes, there was a big impact on private wealth, because now the people were not keeping anything at their home. They were just keeping 100 rupee notes, 50 rupee notes, coins, and 10 rupee or 20 rupee notes, right? Okay, they were not able to keep any high denominated currency. Why? Because it was not there for a long period. Okay, so private wealth of the people declined since some high demonetized notes were returned and real estate prices fell. Okay, real estate prices fell because the people owned a lot of property and the prices of the property fell down. And why it happened? Because the biggest source of black money is what? Real estate. Okay, the people who have accumulated black money with them, what they do, they just invest in the property business. Okay, they just buy the property for that. So the prices of the property fell down. Okay, so that is why private wealth went down. Now let's talk about public sector wealth. No impact. Okay, because the government did not lose anything. Okay, now digitization. Yes, obviously digitization increased. Digital transactions started happening more. Even new users started coming into existence. Okay, an increase of RuPay cards, Aadhaar enabled payment system, that is known as AEPS, that also increased, that you studied in 11th standard. Okay, now real estate, like I told you, the prices of the property declined because a very big cluster of the black money lies in property business. Okay, so tax collection increased because number of taxpayer increased, and the people who were earlier not declaring their full income, now they are declaring. Okay, so tax disclosure increased, thereafter tax collection also increased. The same is written here, rise in income tax collection because of increased disclosure, right? So this is all about the impact. However, this impact is not in the syllabus, but maybe possible that anywhere it is asked. Okay, because in NCRT it is given. That's why it is important to discuss that. So this was all about demonetization, right? So very soon I'll be meeting you in the another video. Till then, thank you.